Okay, my friends. So this last little line chart is going to take us home for the remainder of our notes document here. Papa John's Pizza. There used to be one in town. I'm not sure if there still is in Bend or not. It was back in 2018, pre-COVID. The owner of Papa John's was caught on a conference call, and he used a racial slur. He's a real pig of a man. And as soon as it leaked to the public that what he said, well, you can see it here. Papa's plunge. Pizza maker shares drop as board adopts takeover defense. So as soon as Papa John used the word he used, the board immediately set to. I think they got rid of him as the owner. And anyway, doesn't matter. What matters is the data concerned in this graph and how we're going to analyze it. So let's analyze. What was Papa John's stock price in dollars at its highest valued point in 2018 on this graph? And it is not perfect at all. So along the bottom, you've got months, and it looks like they've got daily changes or maybe weekly. No, probably daily changes. We're not going to get that crazy detailed. From January all the way through July. I believe this is the highest up here, and if we kind of go across here, it looks like it's sitting somewhere around, well, if this is 65 and that's 70, this right here is going to be 67.50, so I'm going to call that $68. I'm going to write down that number, $68. Okay. How about at its lowest? Okay, so we're going to... The lowest looks like this little circle down here, actually. Now, they've got to be careful. This axis does not go to 0. Check it out. It goes 70, 65, 60, 55, 50. It doesn't even go down to 45. It looks like it almost comes down to this line, which would be halfway. Okay, so 55, triangle, halfway, triangle, halfway, triangle. The triangles are 5 apart from each other. That means the triangle to the halfway is 2.5. So if this is 50, 2.5 down from 50 is going to be 47.5, and I believe I'm going to call that $47.50. So for the highest in 25, I'm calling it $68. The lowest appears to be $47.50. The low price is about what percent of the high price? Well, that's part over whole. So now the wording is, you got to be careful with the wording. I'm saying the low price is about what percent of the highest. So the highest is the whole, the lowest is the part. So we're going to do, let's see how smart Google is. Can it handle the dollar signs dividing on? $47.50 divided by $68. And it sure can. It sure can. It's about 70%. I wonder if I can ask it. Let's get really fancy. Nope. That way. Unless, hang on. I'm just being a dork now. I apologize. What if I put this in parentheses? Nope. Okay, we found the limit of Google. It doesn't like that. So, but we could change that to a percent. The 69.85 is about 70%. So back to the notes. We just answered it. The low price is about 70% of the high price. 70%. Okay. Now, we're going to ignore the numbers on this axis and instead use the actual heights of the points. So I drew a line out to here. Remember we said that was 68, but I'm not going to call it 68. I'm going to call this red line that represents the number that we used to call 68. About how many of the yellow bar will it take up to make the red bar? So what I'm asking, this is a little bit of a weird question. I want to make sure we address this here. In the previous question, we divided 47.50 by 68. Now 47.50 ostensibly is the height of that bar, and 68 is the height of this bar. So I'm asking you to redo the exact same division, except instead of using the numbers 47.50 and 68, we're going to use the apparent visualization of those numbers. So I have to know how many of these make up that. Now I'm going to do this a little bit 90s. I'm going to use an old Microsoft program called Paint. I'm going to drop this image into it. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm actually going to kind of make a ruler by copying this little guy. Copy, paste. All right, so there's one. Let's see if I can move him. Whoops, he didn't like that very much. Can I move him? There we go. So there's one. Copy, paste. Here's two. I'm going to stagger them side by side so I can, I mean, they're supposed to be stacked on top of each other, but I'm going to stagger them so I can actually see. There's three. Here's four. Come on, grab it. There. Oh, oh, oh. Welcome to the 90s, y'all. This was literally technology in the 90s. All right, now I'm feeling saucy. I'm going to grab all four of these, copy and paste, and move that whole thing to here. Okay, so that looks like that's 8, and it looks like maybe one more. Come on. I just saw you. There you go. Looks like about 9. I mean, not quite 9, almost 9, but just about 9. So it takes about 9 yellow bars to make up the red bar, which means the yellow bar is 1/9 of the red bar. And in case you don't know this, 1/9 is 11%. 11%. And now the question is, look at that answer, 11%, and compare it to 27, which was 70%. They are nowhere near each other. Nowhere near each other. So how can they be so different when both of the numbers you pulled, here it was the height of the bars, and here it was the numbers. Those things are supposed to be representing the exact same thing, right? So how can they be so different and represent the exact same thing? Now, this is a loaded question. In case you're not seeing how they can be that different and represent the exact same thing, read on.